So let me run through 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from homework 1, where we want to find the inverse for all of these functions. So if you want to fast forward to a particular question, feel free to do so now. So we write this as y equals, and now we can switch x and y. So it'd be x equals y minus 2 cubed minus 1. First, let me add the 1 to the other side. So it's x plus 1 equals y minus 2 cubed. Now let me raise both sides to the power of 1/3. 1/3 power to both sides. So I have x plus 1 to the 1/3 equals y minus 2, because the 3 and the 3rd knock out. Let me add the 2 to the other side. So it's x plus 1 cube rooted plus 2 equals y. But really it shouldn't be called y. It should be called f inverse of x. And here we have the cubic root of x plus 1 plus 2. Over here, so we have y equals, let me focus my camera, negative, and then a fraction plus 2. And now we can find the inverse. So we'll switch all x's for all y's. And let's see, so how about I subtract the 2 to the other side? So it's like this. And let's see, so I'm trying to get y alone. I don't like that negative, so let me multiply both sides by -1. -1, because that negative could knock out this negative, because negative times negative is positive. And if I distribute that, it's negative x plus 2 equals 1 over, like that. Now look, I'm trying to solve for y. I don't like how it's a denominator, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reciprocate both sides. I'll turn this upside down and I'll turn that upside down. The reason for that is because if I do this, I now have the y in the numerator, which is good because I wanna get y alone. Let me add the 3 to the other side, like this. And let me divide or multiply by a -1, so I can get rid of that negative, so that it's just positive y. And if I distribute this, it'll be -1 over negative x plus 2 minus 3 equals y, but really this should be called f inverse of x. So this answer could be cleaned up a little bit. You don't have to clean it up, but there it is for that one. So that's for 1 and 2. Looking at number 3 here, let's take a look here. There. So let's pretend this is y, and everything else can stay the same for now. That's still an x. So now let's find the inverse. So to do the inverse, you switch all x's for all y's. That's one way of doing these types of problems. Now let's isolate y. So I suppose first I'll multiply by 2 to get rid of the denominator. So I have 2x equals -4 minus the cubic root of 4y. Let me add the 4 to the other side. So it's 2x plus 4 equals this stuff here. Now let me multiply by a -1 so I can get rid of that negative that's right there. So these are gone, and I'll distribute the -1. So I have this here. Now this one's interesting. So now I want to get y alone. So I have to get rid of a root. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect both sides, and I'll raise both sides to the power of 3, because the power of 3 will knock out the 3rd root. So we essentially have -2x minus 4 cubed equals 4y. Now we can divide by 4 to finish this problem. Divided by 4 because these knock out. Y is alone. I'll call it g inverse of x, and I'll write that title on the left-hand side. And over here we have -2x minus 4 cubed over 4. There we are. And so now I'm done with that one. Number 4. So let's pretend that says y equals. Everything else can stay the same. And now we are prepared to find the inverse. So we will swap x's for y's. and we'll solve for y. So let's see. So maybe we can multiply by 5 to get rid of the denominator. Gone, gone. So it's 5x equals negative 25 plus 8y. Why don't you add the 25 over to the other side, and then we can divide by 8 to be done with this problem, and then use proper inverse notation. The original function was called f, and so its inverse is called f inverse of x. That. And let's finish this video with number 5. Number 6 from the homework. We will do something like that in class next week. So for now, let's conclude the video with number 5. So pretend that says y, and then we do the inverse by switching all x's for all y's. And now here, to isolate y, first we get rid of the root of 3. So I need a power of 3 to both sides, because that power of 3 will knock out the root along with a radical symbol. And that just means we'd have negative y plus 3 over 2. And then we can multiply by 2, both sides, to knock these out. So we have 2x cubed equals negative y plus 3. Subtract 3 to the other side, like that. Then we have negative y. And then you can multiply by negative 1 to get y by itself and distribute that negative 1 if you want. So this is y, but of course, call it what it should be called. This should be called p inverse of x because the original function was called p. So I quickly went through this, absolutely. And if you'd like me to clarify something, then just let me know in the comments and I will gladly do so.